full circle. Make a circle. Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to show again. Like it's really fun to be on this side and to remember how much fun it was on that side. But like it took me a long time to get over on this side. So don't give up. That's if I can tell you any advice to somebody who is like wanting to be in the art world, just realize it is a fluctuating sea of I don't know and I am excited and maybe that didn't work. But if you give up, then it's all over. So that's one thing I've learned is like the worst thing you can do is do nothing. Best thing you can do is make a whole bunch of art and go make all the friends you can possibly make, because you get to have friends. You got to make something. That's a win in itself. And then also you'll probably get into some shows. Then you'll get asked to come show your work again. So don't burn your bridges. Be nice to people. It really pays off. So I'm Lisa. I am from Tyler, sort of. I grew up in California, but then we moved here, so I guess I'm all over the place. But I do show in like Dallas and other areas. Like I've been to New York. I did a really nice residency there. I have recently did a pop-up show in Oregon that was very impromptu. If you show up with art to a new place and you ask if you can show it, that's a show. So as fancy as it is out here, there's other opportunities, and then you get to actually put that on your CV and say, hey, I'm showing, and I showed in Portland in March. It was at my uncle's house. So I'm doing cool things, I'm doing small things, I'm just having fun. My work is focused on, in East Texas, the trees and our environment, but it isn't just about the tree, it's more about the space in between. So I'm interested if you were to take these transitional spaces like the air between us, if I were to turn that into an object. So I used to, or I should say, it started out with actually in there, printmaking. I was really interested in the idea that you are carving away the positive space, that you're printing the negative space to show an image. And then I started integrating that idea into my paintings. So I do paint, I do watercolor, I do printmaking, I do a little bit of everybody, and it all gets put together into these forms. So the paintings really informed these shapes. So I go from this 2D sketch of I'll go outside and go walk around, do a sketch, bring that back in the studio and look at all my sketches. And then I start sketching what forms or shapes are in those spaces in between the tree branches and the roots. I'll do a watercolor maybe of that same sketch that's been abstracted. Maybe I abstract it some more. Maybe I turn it around and I completely mess it up with like pencil markings or something. And then I cut it up and then I turn it into the forms. Some of them have, like the ones in the hallway, it is the watercolor that's wrapped around. It's been folded and bent and sewn and punctured and torn and all of these different things. And then I figure out how I can make it stay in a new shape. Some of them you can see inside, and they do have little tidbits inside that are hiding. All of the paper I use, I say that it's not true. Sometimes I do go out and buy ingredients, but usually I like to think that it's my own cabinet of old, like a little apothecary of paper and stuff, you want to say. I'm making a little witch's brew of ingredients that I've collected over the years. So that's kind of what I do. A lot of it's very organic, like free form making, and then I come and tighten it up. So everything is that there's an ebb and flow in my work. I'm really interested in, like I just wrote thesis papers. So my brain is always interested in the research that I've had to put in, like not just going outside and looking, and then documenting in plein air sketches what I'm seeing, but also like looking through art history, like who did stuff similarly. So I ran across a word called ma, that is a Japanese term that refers to like the in-between spaces, like between notes. Like if you have a note, that pause and then a note, or like a drum beat, or let's say that threshold, the doorway. So I was really excited when I found that, so I went down that rabbit hole. So I've got, like, if you want to talk about woodblock prints and Japanese woodblock prints. I can talk about that. It's a lot of fun. I have dived down that rabbit hole very deeply. And that's led to being interested in also their culture. And then I'm like applying to residencies and stuff. So that's a fun thing in art is you accidentally get like brainy and like educated and read stuff and write things that you might not have thought that was the path you were going on. But it's a lot of fun. I greatly encourage y'all getting sciencey and stuff. Yeah, go explore things. There's fun things out there. Internet makes it easy to read stuff now. We don't have to go borrow a book. But
that's neat to think about the research of art. That's something that people don't normally talk about, like when you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, I guess.
Yeah, like it's hard. It's fun to experiment with everything, and I want y'all to do that. Like I'm a teacher, so I think I still have my badge on. But as an older artist, I want to tell you guys, go explore things. Try everything. If you've never done oil pastels, go try oil pastels. I don't like oil pastels, but sometimes I use them because they look really cool if you layer them on top of things. You can scrape them away. So if you experiment and try everything, you get to know about them, and then like you find some of the things you like that you gravitate towards, and then you can just really dive deep. And the best way to be like in shows and get opportunities is to really narrow down your interest. Because I'm interested in a lot of things. But if I just narrow it down to like all of these kind of can be defined by these transitions, these spaces that are between things. That's more specific. It's easier to write about, it's easier to research, it's easier to like get into shows because you can write your press release and it's nice and concise. So that's a little bit about me. Any questions?
I've never thought of that strategy. That would really be helpful.
It does help a lot.
Lisa, can you talk about, you also teach art at All Saints, correct?
I do.
How does teaching and explaining art to others influence your own personal work?
I am known to make other students teach another student something because I could do it, but then both students learn something. So as a teacher, I'm always learning way more probably from the kids than they are from me. Hopefully they're learning from me. I think that's the best part. It's not for the faint of heart to teach middle schoolers, but getting to teach lots of different ages. I've taught 4-year-olds and I've taught 70-year-olds. I did a lot of private lessons for many years. It's fun. You get to like meet someone, show them something, and then once in a while this little light goes off in their brain and you can see it like coming out of their eyes, and that's really exciting. So if you want to learn something, go try to teach it. You will learn all the different ways you didn't know. And then once in a while someone will take a sharpener and turn it the wrong way and you're like, I didn't know I needed to teach how to use a pencil sharpener, but we're going to do that. So and then also they come up with great ideas. Like if you're around, especially young people, like you get around some 6th graders. One, it's going to be an adventure. But if you get to hang out, you could hear all about the latest shows and the memes and 6 and 7 and a lot. And it's actually a lot of fun. You find out what it is to be like young again. Because I think we get a little stale and we're like, yeah, I've got to do things a certain way. And they're like, I don't know how to do anything. Like, awesome. So we're going to figure that out together. And that's an inappropriate way of wording that to that person. But like, it's fun. It's exciting. It keeps you young. It's my work. I think it's kind of the same. I am also this. So these are a good example of, you can clearly see the watercolor painting that I did. The branches and roots that I had portrayed are white because the paper is basically tree pulp. So you take a piece of tree and then you put a tree on it, right? So that's not lost on me. Like if you think about the materials you're using, there's a lot of context that you can accidentally capture or on purpose capture, and that's a lot of fun. So that was something when I first started making things out of well, I mean, I've been doing paper forever. It dawned on me when I was doing the trees and I was really getting specific on it. I was like, I need to make sure that I'm using wood, that I'm using some type of tree product, because I feel like that I'm talking about a tree. I need to use a tree. I use a lot of other materials. There's different clear layers that are going on over that kind of wrap around to give a foggy effect. It also is structurally adding strength to it. It's a paper mache trick that I do, that I'm using a certain type of paper that's semi-transparent, let it soak for a while in a certain mixture it is wood glue and water, but it's a certain way I do it. And then they get really tight and taut. So it's like almost like I starched them to death. And so it keeps the structure. So that's what's going on, why they stay folded. I also like sew them or staple them really good. I had someone once comment that the staples kind of took away, and I'm like, well, I get to make my own decision. So I usually, if I put staples, I put like 50 staples though. So I'm like, if you do one of something, like, yeah, whatever. But if you're gonna like use something unconventional, like use it. Or like wrap it up, tie it up, make it a huge knot if you have to. I don't know. These ones are based off of trees that are actually at UT Tyler. I don't know if they're still there. So a weird thing. Sometimes you start with one focus and then all of a sudden things happen in the world and you are some kind of plant advocate. So I didn't go on the warpath against cutting down trees, but like all the trees that I've painted the last 5 years are gone because of urban growth and because of climate change, like flat out. That's why those trees are gone. So I have to talk about that now. So that's an interesting conundrum that I'm in. I'm fine with that because it does make me angry, and I think we need to do something because we live in this nature. It gives us air, and I'd like to keep living. These are similar to these because they're from the same piece of watercolor paper. So like this arch and that next one are these sculptures are all from the same giant watercolor painting that I did. So I know that you sometimes get really attached to something you make. And those are really great moments to maybe challenge yourself to make 10 of those things and or destroy it. Like, I mean, why not make something out of it? Sometimes it holds its own. And these, they held their own like as a giant watercolor. Like when I say giant, like 4x4. And they were fine, but they're sitting there in this drawer and they weren't getting in shows. I'm like, cool. Guess what time it is? Let's cut it up. So this one down there and that arch and the farthest arch, they're from the same. It was a 10-foot long piece of watercolor paper by 42 inches. You staple it to the wall and you go to town. You have to work with gravity because you can't work against gravity. I love working huge. And then I love the idea of breaking it down into smaller components. And then I love even more when you have a lot of components that make a big thing again. So my MFA show I just had almost a year ago in last November. Last year. It was made of 80 different sculptures. They were closer to this one right here. They got as big as I am. They got as small as like that, and they were hanging from the ceiling. So that was a really cool installation I got the opportunity to do. It's hard to sometimes find a place that's going to let you hang a lot of stuff from their drop ceiling. But I was graduating and I had to put the show on and I got permission. So, you know, it worked. And everything is really light. Like these are the paper. They don't weigh anything. Sometimes I'll have an inner structure. I'll make a skeleton so that the bigger things don't fall apart. I can't think of anything else that I would like that's obvious to me, but I'm really close to all these pieces, so things that are obvious to me I'm kind of blind to. But I saw a hand. Hey lady.
Hi, Lisa.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Can you talk about the importance of your sketchbook?
Oh yeah.
And how these pieces start in your sketchbook and end up into real life?
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I have like my practice is extremely heavy on practicing. So I have more sketchbooks than I really should. I'd like to have one sketchbook and fill it up and then one. No, I'm scattered. That's my personality. So I have like 4 on my desk at school. There's 2 at the house somewhere, and I think I stole his. I am drawing, like I have one in the bathroom when I wake up in the morning. How you start the day. I don't need to explain that part. But instead of scrolling, I'm challenging myself to write down my dreams and draw things. Like, because I feel like writing is also a pivotal, important information dumping place. So journaling, I keep extensive lists that I get to check off. And that goes in my sketchbooks. so I can go back, because this is important. You get the ideas out, and then you will forget them. So if you leave them in your head, they go away. You put it on the piece of paper, and then like you find the sketchbook. Oh, you scroll through it, and you're like, that was what I needed. That information. I need that information again. Ideas are fickle. There's a lot of philosophy over it. An idea is not loyal to you. It will leave you and go find somebody else. So if you put it on paper, you kind of get some ownership over it, and you can come back to it. It's the same like if you see someone's work and you do something like it, it's not copying. There's a book, Steal Like an Artist, but it's talking about the idea is going to find you in whatever way it's going to find you. You need to run with it. Otherwise, it's going to leave you and find somebody else. Or maybe it will find 10 people at once. That's a weird thing in an art department is I've been in one room never talking to someone, come into the other room like the end of the semester and found somebody else is doing something like me. And we like didn't talk at all. But like the ideas will find you. It's faster with social media now too. But yeah, sketchbooks, highly recommend. All these ideas, like this watercolor painting that I started with, I don't draw based off of a photo. I will draw based off of my drawing because it's like kind of 3 degrees of separation. And you know the telephone game? It's like that. Where it's like I looked at this, I drew it. I looked at this, I drew it, and it abstracts it a whole bunch. And so then it's more my brain and less what reality actually is, which is what I want to do. So, any other good questions? Yeah.
So why the map for that piece right there?
Oh, that's good. Okay, so this one's a little different than the rest in that I'm using to collage paper mache and all the rest. I'm using other pieces of paper. So like these are solely the transparent paper and the watercolor. But I often like inside of these even, I'll take these collected papers that I've had over the years and I'll use those to add content and information. So yeah, this one actually has part of an old Japanese thing I have. That's a long story. I've got this piece of some, you know, those paintings that are like ink and it's a big, what's it called?
Scroll.
Not a scroll. The folding walls.